Good afternoon, folks, and welcome back to the Fan Batch. I'm Andy, and I'm joined by my own clone Force 99 here. We got Wes R. Scott
Hello.
and Hank McLaughlin.
That's me. I can point at myself in reverse. That's
There
not
you
a
go.
problem.
As always, thank you for joining us, and don't forget to like and subscribe and get in on the conversation. That's what we're here for. You guys have any opening thoughts this week?
The episodes, the last couple of weeks, they've been sort of, in my mind, they've been blending together thematically. And there's this, like, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. It seems to me like both shows are on the same trajectory towards an endpoint that ends with the Rise of Skywalker. And
Clone wise.
yeah. So I like this episode. I like it a lot. There's get a new ship this week, which I'm really fond of. I want more of that. We get to see Omega do some more training this week, which I thought was really cool. And we get to see the Bad Batch. We get a time jump. We don't know how long it is, but we get a time jump where they've started to rebuild, and so we get to see them where they are now at least partially integrated with the community. And that dynamic is really interesting.
It's been several rotations.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I'm glad that we're finally at where I thought we should be in episode 2. New ship, Omega flight lesson, and like making Tech's guts drop.
I was going to say, have we ever seen Tech afraid of anything?
Great like scene. That stuff, the crosshair stuff, like I know that the connotation of what happens at the end is large, but I think that he's finally broken free of that that soldier mentality in terms of loyalty, realizing like right at the very end. I don't know if that's enough to redeem him for what he's done, but aside from betray them twice and to no ill results, I guess. I
have to say they're winning me back with him. And I didn't think that they were going to.
What has he done that's so horrible that they could? He hasn't killed any of them.
Any of them?
No, I get it. I do get it. But I could see a space where he might be redeemed without his death now.
Maybe it's just a permanent exile thing now.
Plan 88.
And I don't mean to minimize that and laugh about it, but really, like I have said before, that he's still the evil guy that he chose to be.
Yeah. And I contend that he's lawful neutral. And
the D&D analogy, lawful neutral. I can see that, absolutely. I do think he's redeemable now. I really do. The writing this episode really has won me over that, okay, there is a redemption arc that I, like you say, Hank, that probably ends without his death.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. I mean, it wasn't sort of visible before. Like we were all saying, man, you might have to sacrifice the big one, but it's cool.
I don't know if I like that.
His concern is Omega too. It's interesting that his concern is Omega.
Yeah. I think it's more of a case of, the guy who's been on the inside for as long as he has now has a better, especially now being at Wayland, has a better idea of the bigger picture and the consequences of what happens if they get her.
Yeah.
Like the clever tie into Hemlock's name this week.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
I could see that coming a mile away, but it's nice to,
What's underneath the glove?
So my theory kind of went out the window a little bit, but
in what way?
Well, I figured that Fee was going to be the turning point, right? Sell them out to Sid, to sell them out to the Empire, but
she's glaringly absent this week.
That's right, she is.
So what's she doing?
Exactly.
Maybe she's off
brokering a deal
with Sid. Maybe.
So it's not completely out of the question, but they're going to get there.
No, it's not.
Via a different
story-wise. It makes sense for all the actors to come together for the final scene.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, of course it does.
Crosshair could show up to save them. She could show up with the Empire. The Empire could show up with its own volition. There's, other bad guys like the Horn guy.
Not Rio Durand. Oh my gosh. Similar name though. What's that guy's name? The guy that took the parlor.
I think it might have been Rio Durand.
No, Rio Durant. That's Jon Favreau's character from Solo.
Oh, is it? Yeah, you're right.
I know.
Right.
Deveronian
Anyway,
jet.
yeah, that guy.
That Deveronian dude.
The Deveronian guy.
That we've sadly forgotten.
No, the yeah.
That's funny.
Well, he's only got one horn now or something.
That's right. It's he's half Aronian.
Broken
There you go.
horn.
I don't know.
So before we get any further, though,
Oh,
is it
wait.
time for another installment.
Let's open up the
Oh,
cage here.
my.
Hang on a second here. I gotta unlock the thing.
I thought we'd gone through them all.
Hey, you get out here. It's time again. Yeah. Bad Star Wars jokes.
Question for you: why did Jabba win the pizza contest?
Why did Jabba win the pizza contest? Is it a pizza making contest or a pizza eating contest? Because if it's the latter, that's an easy one.
It could be either, really,
Man, I don't know.
Let's have it.
because no one out pizzas the Hut.
Oh.
That was straight up. That was yes.
So this has been
Well
another
done.
installment.
Oh
of
yes. Bad Star Wars jokes. Now get back in there.
Alrighty. So without further ado, let's dive into episode 14.
14.
14.
Does it really feel that we're this far in?
It doesn't,
No, I agree. It really doesn't.
but we're there.
That means we are actually within like shooting distance of the finale.
Yeah, we are a week away.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
3 days realistically.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
a triple,
Is it really
triple
next
banger
week?
weekend.
Next week.
Yeah, that's right. Next week. Oh my gosh.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be a
Busy
busy
week for
weekend
all
for
of
us.
us.
Busy
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
But tonight, anyway, this episode originally aired March 22nd, 2023. It's titled Tipping Point.
Yeah.
Has a listed runtime of 30 minutes with credits and titles, but it comes in at 25 minutes and 2 seconds without. It is co-written by Jennifer Corbett and Matt Michnovitz.
Meknovets.
My apologies to the day.
That's okay. We could be just butchering it every time we say it, no matter what we say.
True.
Tim
But,
M.
Apologies if we are.
Yeah. But that brings up their tallies to 32 and 30, respectively, for this series.
That's a pretty good resume.
Yeah. The director's chair belongs to Saul Ruiz this week, bringing his episode total up to 29. And the synopsis reads, new information has our heroes taking on a dangerous mission.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we open on a dark and misty planet with winged beasts circling in the air. And we find an Imperial base embedded in a rocky cliff face where all manner of stormtroopers bustle about. On the landing platform, 3 clone troopers in shackles are escorted by a squad of stormtroopers and Imperial commandos towards an Imperial transport. One of the clone looks up, but a stormtrooper hits him from behind with the butt of his rifle, telling him to keep his head down. And a blonde-haired officer waits for them at the loading ramp of the transport ship, informing the troopers to secure the prisoners for transport.
This guy, this particular officer with his greasy, slicked back hair reminds me of that one guy in high school that you just hated.
A little bit, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know that guy's name, though.
Yeah.
So we won't do that. We won't do that to that guy.
Funny enough, I don't think we actually get his name until the credits.
No, yeah.
Oh, no, I mean the guy in high school that we thought.
Yeah, that's what I mean too. We all know that guy. I can picture him right now.
Yeah, we know his name specifically. Did anybody else feel like that hangar base looked a lot like the Last Jedi's Rebel base? Like a lot?
Oh, I
A
never
little
considered that. Wow. Well, now that you say that, yeah, there is something to that. Yeah.
Like a lot. Yeah, yes, sir.
I really wasn't sure where we were going with this because at one point I thought, is this the lip of the mountain at night? You know, at Wayland, but no, it's
No,
it's
they
not.
actually tell us where this is later on.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And then the fact that the commandos are leading clones away from it and not
yeah.
to it.
to
Well,
it.
I mean, technically it's both.
Well, they could be shipping in and out.
I suspect there's only one place because there's commandos involved. I suspect there's only one place where they were being taken to.
Well, I'm going to question that later too.
Please do. I love that stuff.
But he steps up on the ramp, adjusting his captain pin as they raise the ramp into the belly of the ship. And moments later, they lift off from the Imperial facility and take to the sky. As they exit the atmosphere, we're treated to a fantastic visual as the Gozanti class cruiser soars above the cloud-covered planet.
This is a case of where the animation has influenced the live action, which has now re-influenced the animation because the textures and the fidelity on this Gozanti cruiser are
Fantastic.
just insane. this looks far more akin to what we saw in season 2 of The Mandalorian than it did, say, back in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Which was just a very very sleek, all the there was no texturing on the panels, just like a
really basic animation model.
Yeah. Really just
I really get the
Battleship
sense that you know, where I guess Resistance would be the standout, you know, that would be contrary to what I'm saying, but all these animated shows feel like they could have been live action but for the budget. And so I think that nowadays that we're using whatever venue we can to tell the same story. And I think that now that they're actually using gaming engines to produce the live action stuff, you're going to see
there's going to be more blur,
like a lot more crossover. And I think it's just, I choose to tell this story in this format versus this format, but that it's so intertwined that I don't think there's really a difference anymore.
You know, Hank, we've been friends for like over 30 years, and we've been saying, like, since we first met, that animation was always a superior medium to tell stories because there were no limitations.
Yes, right.
Well, the lines are blurring.
It's true. Are blurring now. And I really feel like, that when we talk about some movie, I don't know if any Marvel movies have won any major awards except for visual effects and stuff. But when you talk about those movies, we don't talk about them in the same circle as Roger Rabbit or Cool World.
No,
they are animated movies.
That's right.
Yeah. Like Attack of the Clones was the first fully computer rendered movie with live action people
elements
in that, right? So it's almost the reverse of what it's been traditionally. And so I think now with a budget, it's always been the constraint, but with the budget, you could absolutely do anything live action and make it look as good or better than animation ever did.
Enough money, enough time, we can do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Just then, though, a smaller gunship drops out of hyperspace and blasts both engines of the Imperial ship. Inside, Captain Pierce orders the ship to jump to hyperspace, and a stormtrooper relays that the blast has disabled the hyperdrive.
Lucky shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I took his name from the credits there. I'm just calling him Captain
Pierce
man,
now. That's his name. If that's his name.
Enough. But barking at the trooper, he tells him to return fire and contact command. The two ships exchange fire, and we come to find that Echo and Gregor are in the pilot seat of the attacking craft. They zip past the cruiser, strafing it with fire, and inside their cell, 3 clones take notice as the ship starts to shake.
Yep.
Outside, the gunship swings around for another pass, all the while deflecting Imperial fire. And Echo tells Fireball, prepare the leech vessel. They aim to recover the clone troopers that are prisoner and be gone before reinforcements arrive. And the gunship, it starts to take fire, but it takes out the Imperial ship's central thruster. And,
targeted. So targeted.
Yeah.
Like, we know how this ship works. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, take it, hit it here, and here.
This might be the most excited I've been for a vessel in Star Wars in a while. Probably since Rogue One. Like, I mean, I love the U-Wing. I was actually just talking with another buddy of mine this morning about the U-Wing and how it's the Huey helicopter of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But this thing, like, first of all, I mean, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of things. I just want to gush on the ship for a minute.
Well, it's got some pretty crazy features.
Yeah, I do. So, I mean,
like,
head on, it looks a lot like the Ghost.
So I was also going to say that it does have trappings of the Ghost. Also, to me, there's a little Spaceballs homage in there to the Winnebago nose.
A little bit, yeah.
But look at that the quad engines. That's very U-Wing. The profile, the way the way that the hull is kind of V-shaped, just reeks of Corellian Corvette. So there's no doubt in my mind that this is some kind of
hybrid
Corellian ship.
Right.
Detachable docking ring.
Yeah. And like they only use one, but you could assume maybe there's a second one on the other side.
Seriously. Right? I don't know what the story is on this ship, but I really hope that whoever designed this, that the folks at Lucasfilm, like I hope this makes the leap to live action, because this is probably, again, I have not been more excited about a vessel in a long time, and this one is just, it's pretty cool.
Well, imagine, like, as they were designing the original ships and their kit bashing, battleship models and fighter jet models and airplane models. But imagine kit bashing animation assets from Star Wars.
Absolutely.
You
When
know,
it made
the nose of the thing looks like a Y-wing. Like
Yeah.
you could literally do that and go, oh, and just happen upon something
just start
simply amazing.
layering things on.
Mhm.
When it first made a pass, and it was a pretty high speed pass, right? For a split second, you remember the sequence in Empire? Or no, sorry, in Return of the Jedi, when they do the flyby down the Alliance fleet, and there's all those little ships in the background. There's one where the looks like there's like outriggers that look like they're two coffee cups stuck together. I thought that was what this was. And then we got a better look at it. I'm like, well, wait a minute. No, that's something else. Not the coffee cup ship.
No.
Anyway, cool ship.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to go off for a second.
Captain Pierce barks as to why they're not returning fire anymore, but the stormtrooper relays that the weapon systems are offline. And the clone gunship approaches from behind, and the leech vessel splits off and heads for the top of the Imperial craft.
Is that what it's actually called?
That's what they're calling
Is
it.
that okay?
He says prep the leech, right?
The leech. Okay.
So he, the leech goes for the top, and the gunship goes for the bottom. And the leech vessel, it rotates vertical and proceeds to bore its way into the top of the Imperial ship.
Yeah.
Well, the gunship latches onto the dock at the bottom, and Gregor, holding a stun grenade, he's radios that we're docked, so don't take long.
Cool that the Gozantis were already equipped for that. I mean, we see them like prolifically in Star Wars Rebels, and I just associate those with as TIE berths, TIE fighter berths. But we're still ahead of the TIE fighter, so
yeah,
that's cool.
But they've got multiple docking ports on the bottom of this thing.
Did we see them do this in this role in Clone Wars? Did they actually carry fighters underneath? I don't remember seeing it. They might have.
Maybe. Or maybe it's just like for emergency, exit or whatever.
You look at what the primary starfighter is of the Empire at this point. It's the V-wing.
Yeah.
I don't think the V-wing mounts up nicely.
They always felt like a frigate versus a battleship compared to the Star Destroyers.
Very much, yeah, for sure. Frigate size, very small.
Yeah.
But on the Imperial ship, the stormtrooper, excuse me, the stormtrooper relays that the gunship is docked with their forward airlock, causing the captain to dispatch multiple squads of troops towards the entrance. And in their cells, the clones take note of the shaking as the ship is docked for both above and below. The stormtroopers rush through the hallways, and two stop when they hear strange sounds coming behind a blast door. They pause a moment before entering, only to find the room full of smoke and a hole in the ceiling with sparks dropping through. And from the darkness, both are hit with stun bolts and they drop to the floor. Stormtroopers.
Interesting that we're still interested in stunning at this point.
Yeah, that was a thought too.
And it's not that it's not a clone. They know that the TK troopers are conscripts. Yeah.
We've pulled that veil off though. When we were kids, we didn't know what was behind a stormtrooper's uniform. So, but that's the movie trope that you can kill robots, you can kill people with helmets on, and almost have no sort of psychological impact on the viewer. But now the veil is lifted. Like the central plot is that these are humans replacing clones.
That's true. Now, they are human beings.
I think what it does is, like, we still say, well, Crosshair killed them, right? But I think what it does is it just reinforces that the good guys are the good guys.
Good guys wear white hats,
and they're not killing people.
Yeah. Okay, I can buy that.
The stormtroopers surround the airlock, but below, Gregor arms that stun grenade, and as the door irises open, he tosses it up, and he takes out a few troops before the others can react. And stun bolts shoot them from behind, falling more stormtroopers. On the bridge, word gets back that they've been breached, and Captain Pierce tells them to initiate protocols and erase the databanks. More stormtroopers fall as the clones advance, and Echo takes Nemec with him to the bridge, while Fireball moves to free the 3 clone prisoners. The 3 clones tense up as blaster fire nears the outside door, and the door slides open, and the clone commander Hauser instantly recognizes Fireball, who hands him a rifle and tells him it's time to go. On the bridge, the captain watches over the shoulder of a trooper who's frantically trying to erase the databanks, but hearing blaster fire outside the doors there, he backs away further into the bridge. The last 2 troopers outside the bridge are stunned and they drop, and Echo scomps into the door controls, and looking to Nemec, who gives him the nod, he opens the bridge door, And a short firefight ensues, only to leave the captain remaining standing.
Sucks to be him.
Yeah. He's backed up. He's got nowhere to go.
Sorry, not sorry. Dirtbag.
Yep. Echo and Nemec, they enter the bridge, and the captain stands with his hands raised. Echo tries to save what data he can from the databanks, but he's not sure how much he'll be able to recover. Nemec suggests that they'll have to get the information out of Captain Pierce, who gives a smug look in return before biting down on a suicide pill.
Man, the cyanide tooth again.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like miniaturized force lightning.
Is that like now, like, is I'm starting to wonder, this is twice we've seen this exact device employed on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Is this now part of, okay, every officer in the Empire gets some new dental work?
Yeah,
Maybe.
it would seem to me that's probably standard issue. And I thought it might have been confined to the remnant empires, because if you wouldn't want to be that guy get captured.
No.
You would think that the rebels might have these instead of the
Seriously, yeah.
It's a little heavy-handed when you're the in power.
Right.
But Hemlock, he does say a line later on, and I think this is part of that.
Okay.
So when we get there, but
yeah, sure.
He sends electricity surging through his brain, and he drops. On the gunship, Gregor radios that the prisoners are safe and they need to get back to the ship. And Echo radios back that he can't come back yet, as he inserts a data rod into the computer in an effort to acquire whatever's left. And Gregor tells him, be quick, as reinforcements have just arrived. A Star Destroyer drops out of hyperspace right in front of the drifting Imperial ship, and a squad of V-Wing fighters drop out of the destroyer and open fire on the gunship and the cruiser. Echo insists that he needs more time, but time is up as the ship starts taking fire. Grabbing the data rod, Nemec and Echo head for the exit and tell Gregor to launch, and they'll catch up. The gunship detaches and swerves away from the fighters, and inside, Echo and Nemec leap through the entrance of the hole they created and depart just in the nick of time as the enemy fire blows up the Imperial cruiser.
I thought we were going to lose Echo in this scene. I don't know why, but I thought for sure.
You actually thought, okay.
Close.
I did. Yeah, I really did think we might lose Echo. And that would really up the ante. The stakes get very high.
There was a part of me that actually thought that, escape with, well, of course they can't now because they disabled it, but I'm like, oh, you guys just got yourselves a Gozandi. But like, no, I guess we can't do that, seeing as we crippled it.
True. But they maneuver the leech pod back to the gunship, and with the pod attached, Echo calls to the jump to hyperspace, get us out of here. So Gregor, he banks the ship away from the oncoming fighter ships, and they disappear into hyperspace, for leaving the V-Wings behind.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The hero ship, because we don't have a name for it. This is not the Martez sisters ship.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But I'd have to look again.
Yeah, so would I.
That's interesting. I never thought of that.
Do you know what I mean? Because we did see them.
Well, they're using their bay, right?
That's what I mean. Like,
might not be that far of a stretch.
They had the ship that they were working on.
Here, carry on.
And did they not lose that and had to rebuild a new one or get a new one? I don't remember.
Possibly.
God, you guys, if anybody out there that's listening, watching, remembers the details regarding the Martez sisters vessel.
The Silver Angel.
Okay.
Repurposed Nebula class fighter.
Interesting.
I have an image that will. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, that's definitely okay. That's definitely for sure.
For
sure. Okay.
Fair enough. But back here, we cut to Mount Tantus, and lights from the base shine outward in the dark and cloudy evening. And if you look closely, we can see that this mountain base might not be the only one on Tantus, as similar rings are carved into a second mountain.
Another mountain in the back.
Yeah. Inside, two stormtroopers walk down a dimly lit hallway, and at a cell, they power down the door, and we find Crosshair sitting inside. They enter and command him to stand up, securing his hands with binders, and they order him out.
Sorry, I don't mean to go backwards. Is it worth mentioning that Hauser is back?
Probably.
That Hauser, so last time we saw Hauser, he was on Ryloth. right? Because he was the clone captain that we saw with Harrison Dula's family.
Yeah.
Did we? I kind of thought he was killed.
I don't recall.
You have to make a post about that after.
That's what I mean. Like, so either he was, it was something he was questioning.
Because he was questioning. They were like gonna just blast everybody.
Yeah.
The
so did they arrest him?
Probably.
So then it was Ryloth that they were leaving from.
It was not,
because he now Hauser is not one of the prisoners. He's one of the armored clones, right?
No, Hauser was the prisoner.
He is a prisoner.
He is a prisoner.
Okay, well maybe maybe that was Ryloth they were leaving from.
Fireball and Nemec were the armored.
Yeah. Okay, so Hauser, Fireball, and Nemec.
Nemec, which is basically John in the Star Wars galaxy.
I guess so. Nemec, but not Nemec as in like Andor Nemec.
No.
So like, hard not to make the leap though with that name, given the whole manifesto thing and the importance there. But Fireball, on the other hand, Fireball, there's a Legends reference there. Fireball used to be at least in Legends, was a clone pilot.
That's correct.
So it'd be interesting to know if this is the same guy. Does he have some funky looking hair? Like,
I didn't get a shot of him.
Interesting. Well, but we got the 3 prisoners though coming out with the troopers.
Yeah.
One guy's
interesting to know.
A gray coif.
One of them, I believe in Legends, Fireball actually had like a stripe of like red hair in defiance, like just trying to show his individualism.
Sure.
Anyway, another like
on those.
Yeah, I mean, just again that whole we'll pull what we want from Legends and bring it forward and manipulate it and change it, however we want to.
But here they order him out, and as he walks down the hallway, he notices that other clones are sitting slumped in cells as well. And as he slows to look in those other cells, the stormtrooper hits him from behind again with his rifle. Crosshair turns and glares at them before resuming walking as they raise their blasters. And arriving at a med bay, the stormtrooper deactivates the ray shield, and inside, Emery is waiting. Emery bids Crosshair good morning and asks how he's feeling, but Crosshair hits his back. What's it to you? And with that, the stormtrooper shoves him again further into the room. Emery tells him that the doctor is on his way and he better cooperate or he'll use methods Crosshair will find unpleasant. And eventually Hemlock steps through the door with a commando, again rubbing that gloved hand. Hemlock cites that Crosshair has healed quickly considering the state he arrived in, but Crosshair just asks, why is he here? And Hemlock tells him that if he thinks it's punishment for shooting his commanding officer, he's incorrect. Hemlock thinks that shows quite a bit of initiative. And he goes on to tell Crosshair that he wants to give him a clean slate. And all he has to do is tell them how to find Clone Force 99.
Clean slate, of course he does. Yeah. I'm your friend.
Yeah. He continues that they're in possession of something Hemlock needs. And Crosshair postures the kid. And Hemlock confirms. And Crosshair tells him, you're wasting your time. They'll never turn her over. And Hemlock tells Crosshair they don't have a choice. She's a clone. And as such, Imperial property.
Oh, there we go. Right back onto that whole thing again.
Yeah. But we get a shot of Emery, and she's given Hemlock something of a sideways glance at this last statement. And this is my first thought. Maybe she is the clone.
That Emery's a clone.
Yeah. Because it's going to come up multiple times this episode where he'll say something like derogatory, like, she's just property, she's crap, whatever. It's a clone.
Yep.
And she gives him a sideways glance.
Interesting.
But Hemlock, he leans into Crosshair and tells him if he gives up Clone Force 99's location, he will have his freedom. But Crosshair scoffs and replies he doesn't know where they are. And Hemlock shakes his head and then gives a nod to the stormtroopers, and they force him down on the table. As they strap him into the table, Hemlock leans in and postures that Crosshair knows how they think, how they operate, and contacts that they reach out to. Surely Crosshair must have something useful to share. And defiantly, Crosshair looks him in the eye and says, wrong.
Yep.
And with that, Hemlock brings in the interrogator droid, and its needle is aiming for Crosshair's head. And it's the same droid from New Hope. and we get all those same, wonderful little droid noises.
Never expected that the injection was to go right into a person's skull.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, in this aspect, we do get a really clear shot, and it's going right in the neck.
Yeah.
But as it advances and pokes Crosshair, Hemlock looks on with just a sick sense of joy on his face.
Yeah, he's the evil guy you think he is.
Yeah, he's the one that was carving up puppies when he was a kid for fun.
Oh, that hurts.
Yep.
Perhaps one of them bit his hand.
Yeah, really.
It's kind of weird though. Like, right, as evil as we thought Crosshair was, this guy is that much further.
Are you saying, Hank? It's just Chubb's hand on there with a glove.
Yes,
it's a wooden.
Yes,
solid oak.
missing a few fingers.
That's right.
Just then, Dr. Skulder arrives at the door and relays that one of their transport ships has been attacked, leaving Balmora. And the prisoners escaped.
Okay, so not Ryloth.
Not Ryloth, no. But Balmora is a high importance planet in Star Wars lore.
Okay.
It was one of the largest weapons manufacturing plants in the galaxy. And though they were not a Republic planet, they were a Republic ally. And when Palpatine rose to power, they just started manufacturing weapons for the Imperial Army.
Oh,
they would remain under Imperial control until they were liberated by the New Republic following the Battle of Endor.
There's a lot of that kind of stuff in Star Wars, especially during the Imperial era. The whole corporate sector thing was kind of based on that. Like, we don't technically fall under, well, we do technically fall under the Empire, but they leave us alone because we just supply them with whatever it is they need.
Yeah.
And they largely leave us alone.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like in the comics right now, in the Darth Vader comics, Vader is tasked by the Emperor to destroy the Techno Union army, which they didn't completely wipe out. Like, so there are still factions out there that aren't Rebel Alliance or Separatist aligned, that were like former, agents of Palpatine, but when he was Palpatine.
Yeah.
And Vader is hunting Jewel Tambor, which is the grandson of Wat
Tambor. Oh, okay. That makes sense, though. I mean, like the like you say, the Techno Union, they were already a loose collective of. Yeah. Same thing with the Trade Federation and the banking clan. They're all just this loose organization that just bound together with the Confederacy.
You do get the sense too that Vader's been tasked with not only eliminating the Jedi, but eliminating all of the Empire's enemies.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. But Balmora, like, it flip-flopped. Like, it was supplying the Republic, then it supplied the Imperials.
Yep.
Then it went back to supplying the New Republic. And when the First Order rose, they started replacing them, right?
Whoever's in it's exactly what DJ said. Yeah. Whoever's gonna yeah, exactly. Yeah. So whoever the reigning government of the day was, sure, we just don't want to rock the boat. Yeah, I see.
That's that whole scene, actually, while we're on that from The Last Jedi, the whole Canto Bight thing. I guess it gets lost because it didn't feel very Star Wars. But if you rewatch it and think Andor.
Oh yeah,
it's way more resonant. Like, like he's laying it out like
it's not just rebels and Imperials. There's
parties
making huge
rich
money
versus poor, just like the real world. And to reinforce that point, and it gets lost on us because we all wanted, Luke Skywalker to wield the lightsaber, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But DJ, puts an exclamation mark on the lesson by betraying them. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful scene, and it fits more in with the adult sort of nature of Andor than actually.
Yeah, it really does.
Star Wars we're familiar, and I think that's why it was so jarring when we saw it in theaters.
Yeah. But Hemlock tells Emery to inform him when Crosshair is ready to talk, and then he leaves with Dr. Skulder, leaving the two stormtroopers and Emery to monitor Crosshair. We cut to Coruscant, and we find our rescued clones in the same hangar bay where we last left Echo.
Back down on 1313.
Yep. And inside, a Pantoran guard brings drinks to some of the clones while Echo and Hauser speak with Senator Chuchi.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting that there's when I first saw the Pantoran, I'm like, what's going on here? Like, are we building a little cell down here? What's going on?
Yeah. Senator Chuchi.
It feels like Chuchi just picked up where Padme left off, right?
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah. But Hauser tells them that he went in with 8 of his men, but only 3 survived. And all the other prisoners were clones as well.
Yeah.
And Senator Chuchi asks what crime were they being detained for? And Hauser tells them dissidents, questioning and disobeying imperial orders.
Do you think now, knowing what we know about the planet they were being held on, now, again, going back to the case with Hauser, we associate him with Hera and Hera's family on Ryloth. Do you think that they were like building weapons?
Maybe.
And now, okay, that's done. We're going to move you somewhere else.
Could be.
Or we're going to take you to Wayland because we need clones to experiment on.
Yeah, we need material.
I mean, they seriously could have been in the same prison camp style thing as Andor again.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
And just it makes sense to put that prison or turn a manufacturing facility into a prison facility and still do the manufacturing.
Free labor force.
Yeah, and
TIE
just ship them out when you need to.
Yeah. TIE fighter license plates. Your blaster was made by it's not even the lowest bidder. Your blaster was made by a disgruntled disgruntled prisoner.
That's right.
It may backfire.
Echo interjects that they intercepted them as they were being transferred off world, and Chuchi asks where they were being taken, but Hauser doesn't know. He does know that more groups of clones have been moved some rotations before, and Chuchi insists that they need to find out where these clones are being taken. And Echo relays that he recovered some of the data, but it's heavily encrypted, but he knows someone who can crack it. And Chuchi, she implores him to go. He thanks the senator, and then she steps forward and tells him, be careful. And Echo nods, then he nods to Hauser before moving off, and they watch Echo as he heads for the bay door. We then cut back to the med bay on Tantus, and we find Crosshair writhing in pain as the interrogator droid does its work. And Emery leans in and tells him, that's enough for now. As the stormtrooper approached Emery and tells her that the orders were not to stop until the prisoner talked, but she insists that he can't talk if he's dead. And then she gives him an injection in his arm of some sort. And she studies her datapad and moves to the computer console. There's some Orabesh here, but it's partially obstructed.
Yep.
But from what I could read, the second word is diagnostic.
Oh, okay.
So she then instructs the troopers to secure Crosshair's restraints. And one trooper sets his rifle on the table next to Crosshair's hand.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah, unaware Crosshair is starting to stir.
So
who doesn't shoulder their weapon?
No, I was gonna say
their weapon. Who just goes, I'll put this right down.
This is such
the most dangerous prisoner at this facility. I think I'll just do this.
One of the glaring omission, and this isn't. I mean, the franchise is so set that you couldn't undo the 40 plus years of Star Wars, but it's like, why is it the Rebellion are the only ones who have slings on their rifles?
No, it's true. It's true.
What?
A two-handed rifle that goes in a holster.
Yeah, really.
The back of your left-hand side makes no sense.
Although I think the Sandtroopers actually, I think they might have had slings on at least one or two.
Yeah, I think so.
But they're the E11, the standard issue start. No sling. What are you going to do when you need to do something? Like, and this is what happens when you don't sling your weapon.
Like, to put a weapon that close proximity to a guy with literally a tattoo of a cross on his face.
There's another guy in the room. Here, partner, hold this.
Yeah. Watch him for a minute while I go down here.
Yeah.
And the other guy doesn't say a word to him.
No. He's too busy doing the other restraints.
He's too busy being a stormtrooper, because he can't see anything.
And we're supposed to
see a thing in this helmet.
We're supposed to be too busy admiring the Ralph McQuarrie style stormtrooper helmet.
Yeah.
Rant over.
Okay.
Yeah. Without hesitation, though, Crosshair grabs the rifle and dispatches both stormtroopers and the interrogation droid. He then aims at Emery, who pleads for Crosshair to take a breath and think it through. But Crosshair hisses at her, "Release me."
Oh, nice impression.
And she moves to the control panel and does so. Again, though, she tries to reason that in his condition, he won't make it far and he won't make it out of the facility. But he orders her to surrender her access card. And she notes, it won't get you outside. And even if you do, the hounds will be on you in minutes. So I guess we got a hound squad here as well.
Well, we've already seen the Empire employ
Massives.
The Massives.
Yeah.
So
that's what I thought.
Probably some here as well.
Literal hounds.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Carillion hounds.
Yeah,
Carillion hounds. Yeah.
the ones that Mando likes to talk to.
That's right.
But showing signs of struggle, Crosshair uses both hands to steady the rifle. And now, almost yelling at him, Emery cries, "Don't make this worse, Crosshair. There is no escape. Lower the blaster." But Crosshair flicks a switch on the rifle and stuns Emery, who falls to the floor.
I feel like that's something we don't actually see very often. The actual, like, the changing setting, the changing of the setting, the actual, like, there's a cue.
Yeah.
Well done. I appreciate that. Doesn't make up for the sling, but it's okay.
No, but he does spare her, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And as she falls to the floor, Crosshair grabs her access card from her belt, depowers the door, and then he staggers into the hallway. A mouse droid zips down the hall towards two stormtroopers, unaware that Crosshair is lurking nearby in the shadows. And uncharacteristically, Crosshair's first shot misses.
Yeah.
This is a good way to tell us that he's under the influence of whatever
she injected him with.
That's right. Yeah.
He's just getting his telemetry too. It's like almost when you see a person who knows how to fire a weapon properly and the sights are off.
Yeah.
It doesn't take them long to
sight it in.
Yeah.
Correct that.
Because the next two shots don't miss. And he's back to not stunning. But he opens a blast door only to find more stormtroopers waiting. They order him to halt, and then they open fire. But Crosshair ducks behind a wall for cover. And then spotting a pipe above the troopers, he blasts it, venting gas onto the troopers, causing a momentary distraction, giving him enough opportunity to pick them off one by one. Crosshair makes his way to an empty communications room and setting down his rifle. See, he's got to set it down. No slam.
Got to put it down. He's Han Soloing it, putting the rifle on the console.
I guess there is a precedent. When you say that, there's totally a precedent for reasonable characters to put their weapons down.
We're fine here.
How are you?
Weapons down.
Yep.
He inserts Emery's access card into the slot and he adjusts some controls, and outside we see a communication satellite swiveling its position. At the control panel, a visibly weakened Crosshair sends out a message: Plan 88.
Excellent.
Elsewhere, an alarm sounds that an unauthorized transmission is being sent from Terminal 3, and an Imperial commando tells the stormtrooper, cut it off and seal the room. And back in Terminal 3, Crosshair continues, "You have to hide. They're after..." Oh, and before he can finish his message, the blast doors seal and a yellow gas starts filling the room.
Dioxins.
Outside the communication satellite, it powers down. Crosshair, he grabs the rifle, but before he can get anywhere, he collapses on the floor. And as he lies on the floor, one of the doors opens, and an Imperial commando enters along with Hemlock, who strolls in without a mask. He kneels down over Crosshair, and he inhales deeply. And then he asks Crosshair if he's having trouble processing the toxin. He goes on to say that it's a creation of his own, and he's immune to it, unlike Crosshair, whose eyes flutter and finally shut.
All I can think of is iocane powder.
So all he needs is a potato sack with a couple holes cut out of it.
Seriously, really?
Yeah, basically.
Fully scarecrow.
Yeah. Hemlock nods to the commando and stands. And from there, we cut to Pabu, where we find Wrecker fishing at the end of the dock as others go about their daily tasks. Hunter and Shep move cargo on the dock, and a fishing boat rolls up and begins to unload. As Shep and Hunter set down the supplies, Shep asks Hunter if his friend who is coming is another clone. And Hunter confirms, reassuring Shep that he's not with the Empire. And Shep says if Hunter trusts him, that's good enough for him.
Good enough for me.
And just then, Wrecker approaches and announces that the new fishing dock is all built and moored. And then he caught some dinner, too. And he throws this giant purple spotted fish down with multiple fins and horns. And Hunter notes Wrecker's been busy, and Wrecker, he happily confirms. I don't know what kind of fish that is, but it doesn't exactly look tasty.
Looks big enough to feed you, me, Hank, and 15 or 20 of our friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also looks like it could be a poisonous fish, though, but
Well,
you never know.
And a little bit like Obi-Wan's friend from the diner.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
From below, Liana calls out to Wrecker asking for help. They're fortifying the seawall, and Wrecker replies, "Sure thing, boss," as he bounds down the stairs to go and help. And Shep relays that Wrecker has become an integral part of the community that they all have. And he asks Hunter if he's given any more thought to staying permanently. Hunter tells Shep that for a soldier, putting down roots can be an occupational hazard. And Shep questions if Hunter believes that is that all you are as a soldier. But before he can answer, a ship goes whipping by. It's the Havoc Marauder. And Shep postures, more flying lessons? And Hunter confirms, Tech's got his hands full.
It makes sense that, a couple things in this sequence that I really like. It makes sense now. We're not on a mission. It's not like the congested city of Ord Mantell. This is a great place to actually, develop her skill set when there's no threat, and she can just learn at her own pace. And the other thing I love about this sequence is Wrecker is I don't want to say the my God, he's the simple, the more simple of them, right? But there's an enthusiasm that comes through here that now, I mean, he's enthusiastic at the best of times, but it's more here than what we've seen before. And it's different. He's really embraced, I'm fishing, haha. He just loves it.
Yeah, he's helping out.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the, if you want to call it simple, part of those parts of his personality allow him happiness, whereas others
absolutely
would, right? Yeah.
I think when it comes time to leave, more than anybody, it's going to be hard on him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who says we have to leave, though?
Well,
I did, according to my theory.
Home base.
Yeah. I can't see that we've losing Crosshair in the first season. I think that was I don't think the team, and then losing Echo this season, can the team stand? And they can stand to lose Echo because he wasn't part of Clone Force 99 to begin with.
Yeah.
Can we handle another loss like that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
If we have a large enough cast to keep swapping, G.I. Joe, I guess, where
a rotating roster.
And so Rex is in this week and Crosshair is,
technically that's building, right? We're getting a small army of clones that could be mission of the week. But
I was listening to I think I'd mentioned, I don't think I've mentioned it to you guys. There's another mostly Star Wars podcast, the Krypton to Alderaan guys, and they actually, the great line from those guys, they're saying, well, it's not really the Bad Batch, it's more like the Good Batch.
That is good.
They're the good guys, they're the good batch.
Yeah.
But on board the ship, Tech leans back in his seat with a worried look on his face while Omega pilots the ship, and there's just a visible look of glee.
Well, that's not what's on Tech's face.
No. Omega puts the Marauder into a nosedive through the clouds, and a visibly nervous Tech, he repeatedly calls for her to pull up. Pull up, Omega. Pull up. And finally she confirmed, and doing so, they skim across the water surface, causing a spray in their wake.
There's a little Bo-Katan there.
Anybody who's ever, and this isn't going to apply to everybody, but for us that grew up in small towns and in farming communities, anybody who's ever driven a field car,
this is a driving lesson,
knows exactly what she's going through right now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Driving in the wintertime, sliding the car around.
Yeah, let's do some donuts.
Hit the same snowbank twice once.
Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah. As she pulls up, smiling, she questions, I'm getting better, right? The collision detector didn't even go off once. But Tech responds, that's because they shorted it out during her last lesson. And he continues that due to his ability to think clearly under stressful situations, she is indeed improving. And behind them, Gonky, he gonks away. His next job, assistant flight instructor.
Oh my gosh.
Nice. You put a resume on that guy.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Omega asks, what's next? And with some hesitation, Tech tells her to execute a sharp swing back to port with 0 thruster pull. And Omega exclaims, the Tech turn? Really?
This is the maneuver that we saw them pull. I made a big deal about it when he shoved it around.
Yeah.
What episode was that? It wasn't the
Maverick.
Zillow
Do
Beast.
not buzz the tower.
Yeah. It wasn't.
You hear
the
me,
Zillow Beast
Maverick?
episode, but it was. They were doing some ground support thing.
Was it not the one where they were trying to recover the down crate in the first one?
It may have
or
been
second one, I guess it would be.
Yeah, but this is absolutely exactly what she's talking about. Is that maneuver?
Yeah, the Tech turn.
Yeah.
But Tech, he tells her that's not what it's called, but he rather likes it. And then he suggests proceed before I change my mind. and she jams the throttle forward, causing Gonky to go flying backwards and throwing Tech back in his seat. And they soar past the Archeum, and Omega cuts the power, banking the ship to the right before hammering the throttle again. And the turn completed, she looks at Tech and says, "How's that?" And he responds, "Much better." And going along with this whole scene, the musical cues here are fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, it just adds that extra layer onto it. But below on Pabu, the villagers, they wave as the ship zooms overhead. And on the control panel, red lights begin to flash, and the Orabesh reads "incoming ship." Tech relays that there's an incoming vessel, and excited, Omega says, "It's him!" She clears her throat and then radios, "Havoc 4, this is Havoc 5, do you copy?"
That's awesome.
And Echo comes across, "Affirmative, Havoc 5, I see you've been keeping up with your training." Omega responds, "Affirmative," and Echo suggests a race to the landing zone. But Tech doesn't think that's wise, but before he can finish, Omega has already agreed, and they zip off. On the landing pad, the gunship sets down first, and Echo comes down the ramp, seeing Hunter, and the two exchange a smile and a handshake, and Echo remarks that Hunter wasn't kidding. This place is remote.
Did anybody, it's a small detail here, really small, but it made me laugh, because as you're watching Omega come in with the Havoc Marauder, it's like, this is like a giant public square, and people are just going about their business. And then suddenly it's like, ah, and they're scattering. He's like, she's coming in whether they're there or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They several people ran for cover for sure.
Yeah. Hunter notes that it has its advantages just as the Marauder comes in. And as it comes down, the villagers scramble out of the way. And Echo cites that he's surprised they're not on Ord Mantell, but with Sid, and Hunter tells them that they're reevaluating things. The ramp of the Marauder lowers, and a wide-eyed Omega runs down and leaps into Echo's arms. And Tech, on the other hand, looking a little worse for wear, comes out holding his head. Omega exclaims, "We've missed you." And Echo says it hasn't been that long, but she insists it feels like it. And Tech arrives and asks if there's some data encryption Echo needs help with. No, "Hey, how are you?" Nothing, just straight to
right to business.
Yep.
But that's him. That's characteristic of him.
But Echo hands Tech the data rod and tells them this is what's left of what they got from an Imperial ship that was transporting clones. They need to go or know where it was going and why. And the batch, they exchange a glance before they move off towards the Marauder. Back on Tantus, rain pelts down on an Imperial facility, and we see for certain in the background there are lights on in a second mountain base.
Oh yeah, for sure there are.
So there's two here. Whether or not they're connected underground, I don't know.
I'm sure it's all part of the larger facility there.
Thing.
Yeah.
Inside, though, Hemlock, he studies a hologram of the transport ship that was attacked, and Hemlock cites that the attack on the ship was unfortunate but inconsequential. And a hologram of Governor Tarkin illuminates the room.
Look who's back.
Yeah.
Tarkin notes that it's still concerning.
That's who we thought Thrawn was.
But if any of the data on the ship were to compromise the location of the Tantus facility, but Hemlock assures him that there are various protocols in place to prevent that from happening, like cyanide teeth.
Yeah.
And what is concerning is how the transport was targeted. But Tarkin postures that the leak could be from a rogue element of clones still in their ranks, as a growing number of clones have begun questioning their orders, and they've been rooting them out.
Gee, you don't say.
Hemlock, however, says decommissioning problematic clones will not eliminate the threat. And if they get sent to Hemlock, he can deal with them in other ways. Tarkin tells him he looks forward to a presentation of his plan at the summit, and the hologram fades and Hemlock smirks while again wringing that gloved hand. We shift back over to nighttime on Pabu, and the full moon glows on the horizon. Hunter and Echo walk towards the ships, and Echo asks if Hunter and crew are going to stay indefinitely, but Hunter says they haven't decided yet. Across the courtyard, Wrecker chases Omega and Liana around the great tree as Shep watches. Hunter looks at Echo and says, to be honest, it might be the best thing for them. Hunter asks what Echo's been up to, and he relays that he and Rex have built up a small network of clones, some are underground in hiding, others acting as contacts within the Empire. And Hunter tells Echo that you've seen the power you're up against. You can't win. But Echo says it's not about that. It's about fighting for their brothers. And he's getting a bit ticked off here, right?
Yeah.
Hunter puts a hand on his shoulder and says, I understand, but when will it be enough? And before Echo can answer, Tech radios for them to come to the ship.
But isn't that just part of the divide that those two characters have always had?
Yeah.
You know, right from the first time that Rex showed up back in season 1.
And he felt they weren't doing enough.
Right. And absolutely.
But inside the Marauder, Tech brings up a schematic of the Imperial transport and tells them that it was assigned to the Advanced Science Division. And Hunter says he's never heard of it, but Tech says it's a clandestine operation. There's no records of its location or its purpose. The only record is the scientist in charge, Dr. Royce Hemlock. And on the screen...
Nice that we got that name out of it.
Yeah. An image of Hemlock surrounded by stormtroopers and Imperial commandos flashes along with scores of numbers. And those characters there, they are Orabesh, the dot formation.
They are. Okay.
But I couldn't translate them to any like number to letter thing.
Ones and zeros.
Yeah. Because there is like 1 through 9, 0 through 9 anyway. But
sure.
Yeah. Tech goes on to tell them that Hemlock was an officer expelled from the Science Corps due to his unauthorized and unorthodox experiments. And Omega asks why they're sending clone prisoners to him.
Interesting that so the small detail that he's expelled from the Science Corps. So at what point did the Empire go, you're back?
Yeah, we'll take you. What do you
got? Yeah. Not that he was swept, like we're going to sweep you under the rug and pretend you don't exist, like expelled.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. And then they probably went like track him down like Galen Erso.
Yeah.
He liked what you were doing.
Yeah. But funny
and
though,
suggest like with Tarkin involved, it suggests that this is like 2 degrees of separation from the Emperor. Like
I mean, this is all part of the bigger plan.
We are headed for that Joris Kaboth.
Really,
just coolness, Mara Jade. I really do think we will get that in some sort of iteration.
Sure. Kaboth, I have an easier time swallowing than Mara Jade. I mean, any iteration of Mara Jade at this point is so disconnected from Luke Skywalker that I don't think we'll get any resolution there.
But back here, Tech says he doesn't know why they're shipping clones to him, but it gets worse. Previous transfer records recovered from the ship logs list other clones that were detained by the Advanced Science Division, and Crosshair is among them. And Wrecker, he leans in, and so Crosshair turned on the Empire? And Hunter asks, how sure is Tech about this? And Tech replies, very. After discovering his clone number, checked out the old comm channels and found a distress message sent from Crosshair's old code. And when Omega questions what it said, he replies, Plan 88, the Seeker. Tech assumes that they're being targeted and Crosshair is trying to warn them, but Hunter counters it that it could be a trap like he set for them before.
Yep.
And Wrecker asks, how are they going to find out? And Hunter, he just studies the image of Hemlock, and we cut to Tantus. So we don't get our answer yet.
It's interesting. So Plan 88, it has a code name.
Yeah.
And we don't really get all the details of it.
No.
Just leave
we haven't done that since season 1, but there was a few.
Episodes. Right. Where they
Plan 5 and Plan 9. Both
right.
Like
It's a very Star Trek thing, execute defensive Theta 92 or what? Yeah.
Funny,
and
like,
being an even set of numbers between 66 and 99, I don't know, something that resonates with me about that.
Yeah.
It's like you seen the Teen Titans one where the other multiverse Teen Titans show up?
Was that in Go?
It was in Teen Titans versus Teen Titans, the movie.
Oh, okay.
But the multiverse Titans, they're calling out, like execute Plan 25, and they perform maneuver whatever. And the Teen Titans Go, they're like, okay, let's do maneuver number 62. And they're like, what the hell is that? You didn't discuss anything prior to here.
He's got it all in his, was that Cyborg or Robin?
Robin.
Yeah, he's got it all mapped out in his head and didn't tell nobody.
Yeah, basically. But back in the medical bay, Crosshair again is strapped to the med table, and the stormtroopers tighten his restraints as Hemlock enters with Emery. Sternly, Hemlock tells Crosshair that if his escape attempt didn't show him already, Crosshair's only chance of leaving is if Hemlock allows it. He then asks Crosshair if he's ready to reconsider the offer, but Crosshair doesn't answer. And Hemlock asks, why suffer more? All he needs is the young clone, and she means nothing to Crosshair. And again, Emery looks on. Again, Hemlock asks, but Crosshair just scowls at him. Hemlock sighs and tells Emery, increase the injection levels. Emery nods, and Hemlock coldly says, let's see how long until you break. The interrogator droid drifts towards Crosshair and inserts its needle into his neck.
Again.
Yep.
Hopefully it's the same hole.
Maybe. Crosshair winches at the pain, and as the injection begins, he begins convulsing on the table as the stormtroopers Hemlock and Emery watch. We see again that Hemlock is wringing that gloved hand.
Yeah, they're going to town on him.
Yeah, and there's a glint in his eye as he watches the droid torture Crosshair.
Yeah, he's a sick SOB.
Yeah, but Stoneface from behind Emery watches, and we cut to black.
So the fact that we close out focused on Emery,
yeah,
and not Hemlock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you think that Crosshair recognizes something in her?
I do, because like she's noticing. Here's Hemlock just look at the torture, and like
she's definitely more sympathetic.
Yeah, she's definitely having some sympathy towards him.
You know, if we're
without showing it,
if we're asserting that Emery is a clone, Emery and Hemlock are the counterpoint to Nalase and Omega.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
It feels like that. Also, you know, it's not lost on me that she's got the same
the Kiwi accent.
Well, the Lobot gear going on.
Oh, true.
Even down to the glasses that kind of almost look to me like tech.
Yeah, there's a visible grid when you get close enough.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and also those in that Rebels episode where they take over Chopper, those Imperial agents at the desk, you know, and she manages to kill them remotely by over sending a signal through Chopper. But that's it's the same sort of science division, if you will. Science division, and it reinforces what we were talking about last week with them being, you know, other than like Tarkin,
sure,
being completely separate from.
No,
the average military guy wouldn't know.
Skalder also wears a headset like that with the goggles on, though.
Yeah.
So I don't think. I mean, that's again. I think that just delineates that's part of their kit that they need to do their job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting though. Does that mean Skalder's a clone too? Mind you, that there's the disparity between the accents. So I don't know, but. Yeah, like I'm really starting to get on board with the idea that she may also be a Fett clone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That Omega's not the only.
Well, if they did Omega in secret, what's to say they didn't do some others?
Well,
yeah, right.
That's just it. If there's an Alpha and an Omega, that just means that there's all the other.
Where's the betas and thetas and deltas?
Right. Exactly.
Deltas.
Right. So, and if we've heard those terms used, Alpha is definitely Boba Fett, and so I mean, there's a lot of letter. Where is Omega on the Greek alphabet? Is it? It's not.
Last.
Is it the O or is it last?
It's last. Yeah.
And how many letters is it? 26.
24, I believe.
24. So are there 20? Are there 22 other?
Yeah.
Unaltered Fett clones?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Interesting.
Anybody else get the impression that like what they're doing here with Crosshair is some sort of twisted version of what they've been doing with all the clones, and that's like a mental wipe or a mental reset?
Yeah,
the education program.
Where you said I know it was Mandalorian episode, but did they reset Pershing?
Is that what they're trying to do?
And so what it does for me is, if that's the case, and since those shows are tracking and they're spread out from time, but they're tracking, this is the same sort of clone plot line. Is that what's been done to the Republic Commandos who don't seem to be reacting to the
Yeah,
Empire the way that
maybe
the
they're
other,
not new
right?
clones at all. They're
Not
just
new clones at
been
all.
Re-educated. clones.
Yeah.
re-educated. Sure.
Set back to zero with Empire programming.
Yeah, because there is unwavering obedience with the commandos, and
Yeah.
they still sound like Fett clones.
Absolutely. And so, ship them to Hemlock, he'll re-educate them,
Yeah.
and we could put them back in the field.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And and it would be easy too, because like with Crosshair, who was so willing across season 1, you just root out your most loyal troops and you send them off, and you basically write it off as it's more training, and they go, okay,
Yeah.
right, get on the table. Okay.
And I still don't think that clones of Crosshair as Dark Troopers is off the table at all.
I don't either. Or the fact that let's take it a step
Sorry,
further.
Death Troopers.
Sorry, let's take it a step further, and Crosshair becomes a Death Trooper. Do you know what I mean?
Primary
Like,
template.
Primary template.
Of course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Although, as we
And
said
what
at the beginning of the
tragedy would that
episode,
be? What tragedy would that be that now that he's
especially if he
arcing
gets a
for
redemption.
arcing for redemption, only to be mind wiped and turned into just another cog in the
Sure.
machine.
His legacy is, some of the most ruthless troops in the entire Empire.
Super tragic.
They do make a point to, and this is maybe superficial, but they do make a point to delineate that the Death Trooper. The Death Trooper is not burdened by the same tropes as the Stormtrooper, meaning they can shoot.
Yeah.
They can hit their targets.
There's and they do talk loosely, at least in some of the the official guide to Rogue One and stuff, that they are genetically modified for height and strength and
right. And I mean, Crosshair is
close to 7
already
feet tall.
I mean, Wrecker is obviously the tallest one, but I mean, Crosshair is probably what
second tallest. Yeah.
Oh, the action figures don't really do it justice, but I mean, he is slightly taller than the rest of them.
Sure,
but he's lean. He's tall. The Death Troopers are all lean. Yeah, interesting stuff.
And their voices are modulated, and they speak their own code, so you can't tell if they were.
Yeah, you'd have no way of knowing.
Yeah.
No.
But for here, shall we take a moment to meet the cast?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So in the role of Captain Pierce and the Imperial Tech and Stormtrooper number 4.
Yeah, high school guy.
Yeah, we have Ben Diskin. He's got an extensive list of 372 credits under his belt, including roles as Skeletor in the latest He-Man and the Masters.
Oh, in the kids one.
Kid-friendly one,
Good.
And AZ3 in the Bad Batch.
AZ!
Returning to the role of Governor Tarkin is Stephen Stanton. He previously played that role back in the Clone Wars series. Today, though, he also fills the roles of Imperial Pilot and Stormtrooper number 5.
Was he in Rebels as well?
He has. I don't know if he was in Rebels.
Interesting.
But, he was also seen Star Wars action in Resistance, the Book of Boba Fett, and Rogue One.
Really?
Yeah.
Voice work or actual face roles?
Voice work in Resistance, and he didn't get a face role because it was a covered up one.
Oh, sure.
Live action roles in both Boba Fett and Rogue One.
Okay, good for him.
Very cool.
And in the roles of Stormtrooper number 1 and 2 is Noshir Dalal.
Noshir Dalal. We've seen him before, yeah.
Yeah, no stranger. He voiced Vice Admiral Rampart.
Interesting.
And he's also had roles in Star Wars Visions, as well as the Star Wars Squadrons game as Varco Gray.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Read a couple lines while you're in the studio for me, will you?
Yeah, come on over.
While you're in the booth.
And then D. Bradley Baker, he's on double duty this episode.
Well,
not only bringing the Bad Batch to life, but also bringing back Fireball, Nemec, Hauser, and Gregor, as well as some of the other unnamed clones.
Oh, look at that. And Fireball is wearing a helmet, so we can't tell.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, though. But he is dressed. He's got phase 2 clone armor. So, that takes it away from him necessarily being a pilot.
And Gregor's wearing Republic Commando armor, is he not?
But Gregor was a commando.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So
yeah.
They nailed that too.
Interesting that we have to keep the continuity with Gregor, but that they've chosen to alter Fireball that way from pilot to. That being said, and I'm going to talk about this when we get to the Mandalorian tonight, about it looks like Revenge of the Sith was really the only prequel movie to actually show you a difference between pilots and troops, like where they had a different suit of armor, a different helmet.
Yes.
Because by the time we get to tonight's episode of The Mandalorian, you'll see it's actual like clones, clone troopers piloting the gunships,
Right.
and not
oddball.
Interesting. Yeah, not oddball. Poor guy.
We've also got some returning faces this week as well. Obviously, Michelle Ang is Omega. Jimmy Simpson is Dr. Hemlock. Helen Sadler is Dr. Scalder. Keisha Castle Hughes is Emery Carr. Andy Allo as Liana Hazard. Jennifer Hale is Senator Chuchi. And Imari Williams is Shep Hazard. So that rounds out our cast.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, big, large cast this week.
Noticeably absent this week, like you said, is
absent this week. So
question of where she's gone.
What's she doing?
And
if she's not doting on tech?
That's right.
I don't know. This whole Sid thing has been like,
it's a dangling thread
been
that needs
permeating. And I mean, it's bad enough that the Empire is now actively hunting the Bad Batch again. But we've got that looming now. Are they going to connect those dots? Is because if Fee, in an idealized world, Fee's off doing something with Sid, placating her, like, hey, just leave them alone and let it go, or not.
Yeah.
Or she's double crossing them. I don't know.
I want to be on your good side. Here's
sure. You know, like there's like you said last week, Hank, anybody could, pick up the phone and turn somebody in.
Right.
Is that going to make more or less heat for her? Like, I don't know. I have to say though, I am pretty much, I could not go back. Even if the writers want it, I could not go back. It would be a step back for me if they all of a sudden decided, okay, we're going to mend the rift and we're going to go back and work. Nope, we can't go back and work for Sid anymore.
No, she's threatened Omega.
Yeah, I'm actually at the point now where I would just like this character to go away. One way or the other. I said it last week, what's the best way to get rid of her? Literally take her out. I know they won't do that.
No.
Man, me as a fan, that's where I'm at. Like, I'm tired of this character. Rhea Perlman, you're wonderful. I love your portrayal of this character, but you got to go.
Yeah.
Unless they make her a viable threat, like on her own. Like, there's stuff we don't know about her.
I don't think she has all the. I mean, sure, she
at one point, she was a powerful figure in the underworld.
When she snatches the bow from Omega, and it's like you're talking about her limp spaghetti arms or whatever, and she blasts the coin, the gambling machine.
Yeah.
I just don't think that she has the teeth. Anything that she would affect against the Bad Batch is going to be carried out by somebody else.
Yeah.
She's not going in with a blaster to go.
No.
I'm taking. No, that's not.
She's going to send a group of mercs or somebody.
Right.
Alternatively, though, I guess my theory could be on its head. Maybe Fee has gone to finish off Sid.
That would be an interesting twist.
But
I don't think we've seen the last of Sid, especially.
I don't think so either.
Not yet.
I think they are going to run that course though, and they are going to come to blows one way or the other.
We're going to get a resolution to
too many times this year, like just casually down.
Yeah. And now the reality that we're sitting on one more week, we've got 2 episodes to wrap up this season, and it feels like we're not. I feel like this is hitting me hard right now. Where'd the season go?
Yeah.
Where did the season go? And what did we really accomplish this season other than
mostly filler?
Yeah.
Like I said when we started, this is where I wanted to be episode 2.
Yeah.
I think we're going to end on a cliffhanger and go for a season 3.
Well, clearly there's a long game here, but this season, I don't know.
Based on the title of the next episode and what we got this episode.
Oh, sure.
I think we're not going right where we need to go.
What's the title next week?
The Summit.
The Summit.
And
so the summit of a mountain,
that's
summit
what we originally had thought.
Yeah, of a character arc.
But no, if you remember back, Tarkin said, I look forward to hearing your plans at the summit.
Oh, the summit.
So we're going to go to like a meeting
the
Emperor, Governor Tarkin, Hemlock, and whoever else.
So are you suggesting we're getting a political episode?
I think we're going to get at least a partially political episode.
Maybe that meeting is on, like, because they are good at that double entendre, triple entendre stuff.
Yeah.
maybe the meeting is at the summit of Mount Tantus.
The summit at the summit.
I can't see them doing that just because nobody is going there that shouldn't be there.
Summit
No.
Con.
Right. But I could see it on Coruscant where they're just like, hey, come on in here. We're going to discuss this, this, and this. So here's our imperial plans.
The summit.
Cloning
So
good, cloning bad. Cloning
think of
good,
like the big summits, the big political summits that exist, the G8, the
G7,
G20. They generally are not, they're usually in a third party location where all of the delegates meet. So I can't, maybe not, well, maybe it will be on Coruscant. That'd be the obvious choice. But if they mirror real world political summit somewhere else, maybe, I don't know.
Or if they mirror imperial summit, maybe we're going to Mustafar. If the emperor is going to host a summit, is he not going to go where his right hand man has all the upper hand, home field advantage, everything?
I think from that perspective, I think it makes more sense to have it on Coruscant and bring Vader in, not to have it at his house.
Well, that's more intimidating too, right?
It would. I think just the presence of Vader is intimidating. And Vader's is this unknown. He's out there.
Yeah.
They're not at this point in the timeline, at least if you read the comics, he's not out there like he is after the destruction of the Death Star. He's an internal threat to the Empire. Like he keeps the troops in line and does dirty work. He's honestly at this point in his career, he's just an attack dog.
Really? Okay.
That's really all he is, and he's a belligerent one, and he's portrayed as like a sort of tantrum having child in terms of the way that Palpatine interacts with him. He spanks him, metaphorically spanks him several times early in his career. Sends him on a deadly mission and says, no, you're not allowed to use the Force or your lightsaber. Let's see what you got. Things like that. And
show me what you got.
Even though he's got his lightsaber on his hip and he can wield the Force, he's still obeyed.
Interesting. Out of fear, no doubt.
Yeah. I don't think the average citizen of the galaxy is like terrified by Darth Vader right now.
No, I don't think the average citizen is really aware of his existence, though.
But if you're having a summit, those people probably would know.
Yeah.
Post destruction of the Death Star, that's when you get the average citizen going, oh crap, Darth Vader
guy.
He's the face of the Emperor after that. But up until that point, he's a dog behind a fence that very few people have heard of.
It brings up an interesting question too, because there's a line in A New Hope at the table on the Death Star. You are all that's left of that ancient religion. So Tarkin doesn't even know that the Emperor is a Sith Lord.
Play it close.
Do you know what I mean? Like he calls Vader the last of the. Well, maybe it's a metaphor for Jedi.
But that's him exhibiting control over Vader in that moment.
Yeah.
Because he knows that Vader is Anakin.
Yeah.
Just like Thrawn, he susses it out for himself. There's an excellent comic. I keep going on like this, but there's an excellent comic where Tarkin, who is they get into his backstory, and he's a hunter. Okay. And he says to Vader, I would be honored if you would let me hunt you.
Oh, right.
And they go down onto an abandoned planet one-on-one and like Tarkin does well, like but through the course of that, he discovers that Vader is actually Anakin Skywalker. Well, having worked so closely with Anakin Skywalker previously.
Right. That does tie
so when he says that you're he's literally outing him without anybody at the table knowing what he's talking about.
That he's the last of the
and that's him exhibiting control. I would expect you to find you holding Vader's leash.
Right. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a very interesting. Okay, so that maybe we won't see Vader in the course of the Bad Batch then.
Yeah, maybe, but who knows?
Interesting though, the summit. Yeah, oh, man, so many things. What do we want to see actually happen in the last two episodes? What do we want resolution to? Because we're not going to get resolution to everything.
I don't think we're going to see our full-on clone revolt yet.
Man,
I think we might see a breakout at Tantus. Just to
like Crosshair breaking out,
or save as many as we can.
Interesting.
Because if we're that being Echo and Rex's, like, okay, there's this many clones there, let's go. We got to get them out.
If we are like at the beginning of the episode, we save 3 guys.
Yeah,
we've got to find them. Where are they being held, and why aren't they just being executed?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I think that was
the worst thing that could happen, and the thing that would be the most compelling to come back for episode 1 of next season.
Yeah,
the thing that would get us talking all year long.
Yep,
would be that if Omega,
we lose her.
If we lose her to the other side, like the way we lost Grogu.
You feel like that is that they've been sort of building to that whole, like, what's part of the master plan.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, that's such an interesting thought. I mean, I think for me, I would like to see, man, I don't actually want to see that. I'm this, like, I'm 9 years old watching this stuff. I don't want to see her get taken away. And I don't want to see Pabu laid to waste either, because that would just that would hurt. That would really hurt. I would like to see a renewed sense of purpose. We've been sort of jumping around the idea that this whole season, that are you just soldiers? It came up again in this episode.
Yeah. Right.
Everybody's sort of been struggling with their own internal stuff. And I would like to see a renewed sense of purpose by the end of this season, whether that is, okay, we are going to get in line, not get in line. Maybe we're going to emulate sort of Echo's sentiment, and we're going to actively get in the fight and do more.
Yeah. And Omega being lost is the perfect catalyst.
Well, that is
for that.
Absolutely it is.
There's a reason by the time we catch up with Rex, Wolf, and Gregor in Rebels,
they're the only ones.
But not only are they the only ones, they're not doing anything actively. They're not in a rebel cell.
Yeah.
They're land fishing to survive.
That's right.
As low as possible.
Yeah.
Something happens that puts them there.
To take them out of the game.
Where they're just a phone call away from Ahsoka, but not involved at all.
Yep.
That's not Commander Rex there. That's Fishing Captain Rex.
Yeah.
He needs to be reminded, right?
Something has to happen for them to fade
Something
away.
Bad has to happen for them to put the mantle down.
One thing for certain, I think we will see, whether it's this season or a future season, is when we meet Rex at Rebels, it's Rex, Gregor, and Wolf. Where's Wolf?
Where's Wolf?
That we have to figure that part out, and be sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, and like I've said since like maybe a quarter of the way through the season, knowing that that's who we end up with in Rebels means that we lose Echo, we lose Cody, we're going to lose Hauser,
we potentially lose the Bad Batch,
right?
Entirely,
and that would explain why they put the mantle down for sure.
Yeah. You know, the best of us, we lost them, and now what do we do?
Right.
You know,
or interesting stuff. Get scattered to the galaxy.
Well, there's that too, right?
Yeah.
You know, spare credit for a war veteran.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the cut stuff from the proposed. If you've read the leaked script for the Obi-Wan movie that got basically cut in half and turned into season 1
of a series,
where it was basically Cody. Cody doing for Obi what Obi was doing for Luke, which is watching him from the background.
Isn't that something?
Interfering from behind and making sure that nothing ill befalls of him.
Well, now that Cody is effectively, in the wind, that could still happen.
Because yes, there is chatter of an Obi season 2. So
I would like that, and I know Ewan has said that he'd be okay with it. So
big time.
Yeah. Guys, if you're watching us here in the live stream, or if you're catching us in the rewatch, or you're listening on your favorite audio platform, let us know your thoughts and comments about where you think the series is going. We've got 2 episodes left. It's going to wrap up next week. What do you guys want to see resolved, and where do you think it's going to go? Listen, guys, before we wrap this one up, just a reminder that tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, I will be back in the hot seat as we take on Chapter 20 of The Mandalorian. That one is The Foundling.
Again, with the double meaning.
Oh, my God. Probably the lightest episode in terms of the number of visuals. This one is an all-time low for me at 25, be 26 slides here when I add one more after this. I still think it's going to be a long episode because there is so much to talk about in terms of the lore this week.
This is the one that had me almost crying on the level of the Luke Skywalker thing. From
oh, wow.
Season.
Really?
Yeah, I was super happy about the Easter egg in this episode. Like, over the moon happy.
All right. Well, I can't wait to talk about that. And we're going to do that tonight at 6. Do join us for that live.
We got merch.
Yeah, go get you some merch.
So let me just paint a little picture for you here. Now, our merch shop is hosted over at tpublic.com. There are links to the shop in the description of this video, as well as over on our Facebook. I made a purchase to our merch shop to buy four t-shirts. Yeah. And I just want to let you know, this is a really interesting thing. TeePublic has this really good customer service in the sense that one of the shirts I got, the logo was off-centered. I sent them a message. I took a photo. I sent it over, and without any question, okay, just keep the shirt, and we will send you a new one. Mm-hmm. When they sent the new shirt, this was just the other day, I opened it up, and the first thing I noticed was the print quality of the replacement shirt was exponentially better than the original shirt. Now, here's the thing. It was still off-centered. But the difference in print quality, I was so shocked. I actually went back to TeePublic and I said, listen, I know this has been a while now because the initial order was several weeks ago. I've had the shirts now for what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
And I said, I have to tell you that my replacement shirt, the print quality was so different. I am now questioning the print quality of the shirts from the original order. I took pictures of every shirt. I sent them in and I said, listen, I'm sending these along so you can determine if this is up to your standard. Yeah. Because this does not look like it looks on our merch shop in the online. I said, I get that there's a difference when you print the thing. Without question, they wrote back and they said, we're sending you new shirts of my entire original order.
Crazy.
So
A+ for customer service.
A+ for customer service, no questions asked. And I mean,
and speed.
It's
Can
not
we talk
me.
about the speed with which these products are arriving.
They show up. I think I had mine within, I don't know. I'm late to go and check my mail all the time, so within a week or so, sometimes faster.
Nice.
Yeah, super happy. It's real happy.
Yeah,
and just
so,
and you guys, so you guys know out there in the world, like we buy our own merch. To show you our merch, we buy our
that's
own
right.
merch.
Yeah, this isn't a freebie. This isn't a sample. This is
my own car.
I've paid. Yeah, I paid for this.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that you want to help out the channel, that's one way you can do it. If you also want to help out the show, you can head on over to our Patreon, where we have a couple different tiers there, where you can get your name on the added to the show as a production partner.
Have coffee with Eric.
Yeah, that's right. As always, we'd love for you to head over to our YouTube channel. If you're not already watching from there, do like and subscribe to the channel. And as we continue our journey here through the Star Wars universe, and on Tuesday nights where we talk about other things besides Star Wars with our random fandom, it's a call-in show. You could be on the show with us, telling us about what got your attention this week.
All you got to do is call in.
That's right. Anyway, listen, guys.
Like 5 episodes in, and you could still be the first caller.
That's right. Saves me from calling Hank when the power goes out. What's happening here? I don't know what's going on. All right, guys, let's wrap it up here, and we'll call this one in the can.
Yep.
Hopefully, we'll see you back here tonight at 6 for Chapter 20, The Foundling, here on Fandom Power. So, until next time, guys, for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Hank.
We'll see you later on the next one.
Same batch time.
Same batch time. Same batch channel. God, I forget that every time.
Yeah, you got one more week to get it right.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.